Welcome to the beginner level photo editing in Adobe Photoshop course. This is lesson 1, color editing using Camera Raw. It is not necessary to have Adobe Photoshop to take this course, but if you would like to follow along using Adobe Photoshop, you can follow the link that is below this video to download a 7-day trial of Adobe Photoshop. If you have not already, I suggest you download the materials that are available for this course. If you follow the link below this video, you can download the images used in this course and written instructions for the edits we will make in this video. In this lesson, we will learn to make beginner-level color edits using the Camera Raw filter. Prior to beginning any instruction, we need to open Photoshop. So navigate to your Start menu and find Photoshop and click to open it. It'll take a moment to open, and Photoshop opens. So the first thing we need to do is open the photo that we want to edit the color on. So we're going to go to the top of the screen, select File, go down to Open, select Open, navigate to the photo that you want to edit. So in this course, we're going to be using a photo that was provided in the downloads for this course, titled Woman. So select the woman photo and go to Open, select Open, and the photo opens. So from here, we're going to edit the color. Now with most photos, you're going to review the photo first and decide what photo edits you would like to make. So for this photo, it's a very nice photo, but the color is a little bit blue. You can see in her skin tone, the tone is a little bit flat, and everything overall just looks a little too blue and a little bit too green. Her skin is really lacking that kind of lifelike sort of pink undertone. So we're going to be changing that. So to do that, we're going to use a tool called the Camera Raw filter. To get to the Camera Raw filter, we're going to go to the top of the screen again to Filter and click on Filter, and then go down to Camera Raw and click on Camera Raw. And this is the Camera Raw filter interface. So like I said, what we're going to do initially is edit her skin tone and just make her look a little more lifelike, a little more vibrant overall. So to edit the color in Camera Raw, I'm going to go over to this panel right here, labeled Color, and click on this caret. And when we click on it, the options display. So like I said, this looks a little too blue, a little too green. You can see the options here. We've got temp, tint, vibrance, and saturation. So we're going to start at the top, and we can adjust the color of the photo by sliding these sliders back and forth. So if I select the temp slider and move it to the left, the photo begins to get a lot more blue. So that's not what we want to happen. We want the photo to look more lifelike. So I'm going to adjust it just a little bit and increase the yellow in the photograph, which reduces the blue. So you can see everything has started to look a little more warm in the photo, but it still doesn't really have a lifelike appearance. So we're going to move down to Color Tint, which is the next dial down, and take that slider. And again, I will show you what it looks like if we increase the green level, which reduces the pink level. So if we do that, you can kind of see that she begins to look a lot more unnatural. So that's not what we want. We'll come back over to the slider and start to increase the pink tone, which is going to reduce the green appearance. So we'll bring it up to 22. And you can see she looks a lot more lifelike now. Her skin looks a little bit more human, a little bit more like she's in real life. But the photo's still a little bit flat. So we'll come down to the next dial, which is vibrance, and we'll increase that a little bit as well. So let's pull it up to about 25, and you can see her skin tone just starts to look a little bit more bright. Overall, everything kind of is a little bit more full, a little bit more lifelike. If we reduced it, you can see that the photo would begin to become black and white. It takes all the vibrance out of the color. Let's go back up to 25. And then finally, we're going to bring up the saturation of the photo. So we're going to go down to the bottom and grab this last slider and pull it up. Let's pull it up to about 15. And as you can see, that's kind of just rounded things out nicely. This is before. Let's see, there's 0. And then if we bring it up just to about 15 for this photo, that's nice. Everything is starting to look a lot more saturated with color. And again, she looks a lot more lifelike. So some things to think about when you are using this color panel. You don't want to make things too saturated. You can see if I pull the saturation up very high, everything just starts to look pretty unnatural. And sometimes you might be going for unnatural, but in this particular instance, we are not going for unnatural. But you can see in the yellow areas of the photo, everything has just started to look very yellow. In her skin tone, there are some spots that are just really beginning to look a bit too yellow up near the hairline. Her cheeks are looking very pink, which again, you might be going for that. You might want to make someone look like they're wearing a lot of makeup, but in this instance, we'll be keeping it at a fairly lifelike appearance. So I'm going to bring that back down to 15. And we will close the color panel by clicking this little caret. Everything looks pretty good, but we're going to go ahead and make a few more changes just so you can see how versatile the Camera Raw filter is for editing color. So we're going to close the color panel options by clicking that little caret, and we're going to come down to Color Mixer, click the caret, and display the color mixer options. We're going to click over to the far left on Hue, and you can see that changed. We'd see all of these different options or mixing color. And what these options do is you can see it breaks it down into reds, oranges, yellows, greens, etc. And you can use the sliders to adjust which end of the spectrum you would like to be for any one of these colors. So if you picked yellow, you could go to the very green end of the yellow, and you can see in the hair, her hair has taken on a tinge of green, or you could move it all the way down to a very orange end, and it would make all of the yellows in the photo more orange. For that, we're going to focus on the blues and the purples in the photo. So we're going to take the blue slider. So here we're going to change the color of her sweater and the color of the background in the photo are now on the purple end, so they look far more purple. And then we'll go ahead and come down to the purple slider and slide it all the way to the right, and take that down to the more sort of red end, and you can see how that tone shift from a more blue sort of purple to a more pink sort of purple. You could drag it all the way down to the other end, and then you would get a very deep sort of violet purple. But again, for this, we're going to take them both all the way to plus 100%. So now, again, to show you the versatility of Camera Raw, let's click on, in the color mixer, let's click on saturation, and you again get more dials with the same colors listed, and you can use this to increase the saturation of the color. So the saturation of the color really just makes a very vibrant version of that color. If you wanted to, let's see, take the orange, or let's try yellow. If you wanted to take the yellow in the photo and increase it all the way up to 100, you can see the yellows in the photo, like in her hair, get a lot more saturated. Let's undo that. So for this, we're going to do the blues and the purples again, just so you can see the tone in the background and in her clothing shift. So let's take the blue all the way to the end, all the way up to 100, and you can see that color shift. There we go again. See how it just gets far more saturated. So we're going to do the same thing with the purple, and it will get a lot more saturated. Now this is beginning to look a bit not lifelike. So if you wanted to, you could, of course, bring this down, make it look a little less saturated. But for the purposes of this instruction, I'm going to keep it all the way at 100. So the last edit we'll make is we're going to go to luminance. So this is the luminance, and this works a bit differently. If you move these sliders to the right, you'll generally lose a little bit of color, and if you move it to the left, you'll deepen the color. It won't really get brighter. It's a little bit hard to describe, but it gets deeper. So let's take this blue and move it all the way to the left, which is now a negative value in the value box. It's a negative 100. Let's do the same with the purple, and again you can see it's going to get like slightly deeper, which takes out that unnatural saturated appearance. Let me pull this back to the center a little bit just so you can see again. Let's go negative 100 in the blue, and then negative 100 in the purple, and now it has a bit more of a natural tone to it. So to close up the color mixer, we're going to click this caret, and then to finalize the edits, we will go down to OK in the camera raw filter, and the edits have been made. And we can see this is the original, this is the edited version. The original, the edited version. The last edit that we want to make is changing the file name so that we don't save over our original file in case we might need it in the future. So we're going to go up to File, Save As, and you'll want to change it from a JPEG to either a PNG or a TIFF, because those are just better file formats for keeping photos for long term. So I'm going to select PNG and change the name of the photo to, you can change it to anything. I'll just add purple to the end and select Save. And then here, large file size, fastest saving, you want to select that and just select OK. And the photo has saved. And so you can see at the tab at the top, the file name has changed and the file has been saved over. Congratulations! You've completed the beginner level color photo edits in Adobe Photoshop course. Thank you so much for your time and your commitment. I encourage you to try these color editing techniques with other photos so you can experiment more with color and adjusting color hue, saturation, and luminance. The more you experiment and practice editing color with the Camera Raw filter, the easier editing color in Photoshop will become. If you would like to review what you just learned, please take the quiz below this video. To continue to the next lesson, please follow the link below.